Good morning. Good to have you with us on a very busy Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're, of course, going to begin with the very latest on this catastrophic flooding in central Texas. Officials still don't know how many people are missing after heavy rainfall triggered a historic 26-foot surge of the Guadalupe River on Friday. The urgent search and rescue operations continue this morning after more storms moved into the region overnight, threatening to cause even more flash floods.
At least 81 people have died, 28 of them children. Most of those deaths happened in Kerr County, that's to the west of Austin. Rescuers there are still searching for at least 10 girls reported missing from a summer camp called Mystic. The camp released a statement last night saying, quote, Camp Mystic is grieving the loss of our beloved campers and counselors. Our hearts are broken alongside our families that are enduring this unimaginable tragedy. Governor Greg Abbott says he remains committed to finding those missing campers after visiting Mystic over the weekend.
It was nothing short of horrific to see what those young children went through, and we will remain 100% dedicated, searching for every single one of the children who were at Camp Mystic, as well as anybody else in the entire riverbed, to make sure that they're going to be recovered.
The National Weather Service is defending its forecasting amid questions over whether people received enough warning. The White House also dismissed concerns over whether staffing cuts to the National Weather Service may have played a role in this tragedy. NBC News correspondent Jay Gray is in Kerrville, Texas this morning. Jay, good morning.
Yeah. Joe, Savannah, good morning to you. And we are standing on what is a river path here in Kerrville. And this evidence of that wall of water that moved through, understand that we're more than 20 feet above up a hill from the normal banks of the Guadalupe River. You can see the tree even before sunrise. You can see some of the debris, the limbs pushed up against the railing here. And look, yesterday we had more rain and more evacuations. Today, forecasters say we will see more rain, at times intense here. Like the floodwaters tearing apart the Texas Hill Country, the rescue and recovery effort here is relentless.
That is where our energy, our resources, and our attention are directed. Nothing is more important than bringing comfort and clarity to those who are waiting and grieving.
Hundreds of first responders working around the clock, going into the fourth straight day now.
The Department of Public Safety is offering any and every resource that we have to help with those searches, whether it be boat teams, rescue divers, helicopters, drone operators, drones.
High-profile military vehicles, thermal and night vision technology. Crews combing the strike zone on foot, others on horseback. This team uncovering the body of a young victim in the debris.
We decided we should look in that spot a little bit more before we went back down, and that's when we found it.
We covered her with a towel.
At least 80 are dead. Dozens still missing, including a group of young girls and their counselor from Camp Mystic.
I think while it was going on, I kind of felt like a sense of numbness.
13-year-old Stella Thompson escaped. She and a group of fellow campers led out by the National Guard through debris, overturned vehicles, camp gear and clothes littering the trees, rescue divers in the water.
Saying it out loud is making me realize what actually happened and how bad it actually is.
A realization so many in Central Texas are struggling with right now. You know, with so much damage, with so much that's been lost, I think, frankly, and you can understand this, many here are still in shock. But one thing they say they haven't lost is their hope, and that includes the search teams, Joe, Savannah. They do believe that they are going to find survivors today and say they're going to stay at this for as long as necessary until everyone is found.
No doubt everyone is grateful to those teams. Jay Gray reporting from Texas. Jay, thank you.
Well, we are learning more about the victims of these devastating floods, including several children, and the heroic actions of those who tried to save them. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky, who is from Kerrville, Texas, spoke with one young survivor about what she went through.
I think while it was going on, I kind of felt like a sense of numbness.
For Stella Thompson, reality still sounds unbelievable. The 13-year-old, one of hundreds evacuated from Camp Mystic, amid a river turned nightmare.
you'd see kayaks like in trees, and it was kind of horrific because we had no idea. There were huge trees ripped out of the ground, and it didn't look like Camp Mystic anymore.
Now, as uncertainty hangs heavy, tragic closure coming to many. Renee Smystrola, Eloise Peck, and Janie Hunt confirmed as 3 of the lives lost at Camp Mystic, where 10 campers and 1 counselor still remain missing. Smystrola's family sharing, while not the outcome we prayed for, we are thankful she was with her friends and having the time of her life. The family of fellow camper Eloise Peck sharing, the family is grieving and processing this unimaginable loss. Here at Camp Mystic, where volunteers are still scouring the river, friends of the family say owner Dick Eastland sprang into rescue mode, putting multiple girls inside an SUV as those waters rose. He tried to drive to safety, but was soon overtaken. On social media, his grandson writing, if he wasn't going to die of natural causes, this was the only other way, saving the girls that he so loved.
The first text it was already at her bed. That's what woke her up. I mean, it came up so fast. She had so many hobbies.
Jeeper and Julie Ragsdale are still coming to terms with the abrupt loss of their beloved sister Jane, the longtime head of the Heart of the Hills camp nearby, which also flooded.
Sounds like she devoted her entire life to helping these girls.
She just wanted, to me, like she just wanted to give back her childhood experiences to other children. It gave her so much joy that I think that's what drew her to it.
But amid so much loss, stories of survival and heroism.
It's a miracle that she did survive it, I think. I mean, it's a God thing to me.
Carl Jeter spotting this woman clutching onto a tree as floodwaters rush beneath. Her car long since washed away. Jeter flagging a DPS agent to radio firefighters who were finally able to rescue her after the more than 4-hour ordeal.
I mean, it had to have been like swimming a marathon. I mean, it just, I don't get, I mean, I'm not going to try to understand it. It's just absolutely a miracle.
Morgan Chesky, NBC News.
More weather troubles to the east. Thousands of people in the Carolinas were left without power after Tropical Storm Chantal made landfall on Sunday. The storm dumped up to 10 inches of rain in parts of North Carolina and spawned at least 2 tornadoes. Forecasters say the storm is expected to continue to move northeast towards southern Maryland as a tropical depression, and its effects could be felt as far north as New Jersey in the coming days.
And Chantal is just one of the problems facing the millions of Americans who are trying to make their way home after the busy 4th of July holiday weekend. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk is at Newark Airport in New Jersey with the latest on how the nation's airports are holding up.
Hey there, Joe and Savannah. Well, if you were going to leave from Newark Airport, today would be the day to do it. It's very calm here. Things are moving smoothly. But throughout the New York City area airports over the holiday weekend, 2.2 million people were expected through here. But at least in this area, the weather was okay. That was not the case across the country. Specifically in the Carolinas, it was absolutely terrible. They were hit by a tropical storm Chantal, that came on land and was quickly downgraded to a tropical depression. But it did some damage in some places, dropping up to 7 inches of rain with 60-mile-per-hour winds. There were roadways that were flooded, even in one section of a highway that completely collapsed. Then in Chicago, on the worst possible day, at the worst possible moment, yesterday on Sunday, they got hit by some tough thunderstorms, and that brought Chicago O'Hare, one of the most important and busiest airports in this country, to a complete ground stop. And when that happens, as you know, things are triggered throughout the country. You know, here in the Northeast, they're going to be dealing with some heat over the next few days, but it was certainly a tough weekend, especially if you were taking to the roads. They estimated that 62 million people were in their cars this weekend. I have a trick, however. I had to drive from New York City to Connecticut, which is a notoriously bad stretch of highway, but using my strategy, I barely even saw a car. That's because I left at 5 a.m. Definitely not a strategy for everybody. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Steph.
All right, we've got more details on the severe weather, including more rain in the forecast for Texas with your Morning News Now weather.
Meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us. Hi, Michelle. Good morning.
Hi there, guys. Yeah, we are looking at Central Texas once again today because even seeing storms right now, isolated showers and storms, and some of them are producing heavy rainfall. That will be the story all throughout this Monday. Still a lot of moisture in the air here, so any storm could unleash 1 to 3 inches per rain, even 1 to 3. Even 4 inches of rain, and some spots could see isolated amounts of up to 10. So we're watching this very closely. Obviously, the grounds are very saturated, and you can see those brighter colors. That's where we're seeing the heavier rainfall. So certainly scattered across central Texas, and hopefully and thankfully will start to dry out tomorrow. But for today, we're going to see the rain falling. We do have a flood watch through 7 o'clock local time. That includes places like Brady, Austin, San Antonio. Where you see the green, that is the flood watch. So as we go throughout time here, we're going to watch those scattered and very slow-moving thunderstorms continuing, likely dropping a lot of rain in spots. The ground is completely saturated. We had a drought that was ongoing. That was part of the problem, too. It couldn't absorb all that water. There's a lot of limestone in this area, so we could see runoff once again. And then by tomorrow, we'll see that heavy rain shifting towards the East Texas area and drying out across the hill country, thankfully. So we're going to watch that, and we should keep it pretty dry throughout most of the rest of the work week. Again, isolated amounts up to 10 inches. Typically, we're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain, but could see more in some spots. That's the big story on this Monday. Of course, we're watching severe storms in the northern plains, the central high plains. Could see damaging winds, tornadoes, even some hail there. Notice that front stretching from New England into the Midwest. That is a spot that we could see some storms as well. We could see some flash flooding. And then we have the influence of Tropical Depression Chantal. That's going to bring the chance for flash flooding as well into the mid-Atlantic. The flood threat does continue too in portions of the mid-Atlantic. North Carolina was hit hard yesterday. Most of this is now moving into Virginia. You could see once again those bright colors bringing that heavy rain, and we will see the chance for flash flooding. Kind of see that spin there. So we're seeing winds gusting with these storms, and we do have flood alerts here, flash flood warnings. That's in the red, and a flood watch too is in the green. Back to you both.
All right, a lot going on. Michelle Grossman, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Dozens of countries are facing a new deadline this week to reach tariff deals with the Trump administration or face higher rates. You might recall back in the spring, President Trump announced big tariff hikes, then paused them for 90 days, giving countries time to try and renegotiate with the White House. Well, that deadline expires Wednesday. This all comes as Elon Musk announced over the weekend he has set up a new political party. He calls it the America Party. NBC News White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor has the latest.
The global economy braces for what comes next, as President Trump says countries that don't make trade deals by this Wednesday, July 9th, will now pay skyrocketing tariffs starting August 1st.
I think we'll have most countries done by July 9th, yeah. Either a letter or a deal.
The Treasury Secretary warning that those take it or leave it offers will come at steep prices.
You will boomerang back to your April 2nd tariff level. So I think we're going to see a lot of deals very quickly.
Back in April at the White House, the president laying out a series of increase in tariffs on dozens of countries. 30% for South Africa, 24% for Japan, 20% for the European Union. The president then pausing most of those rates for negotiations. So far, the U.S. has only announced frameworks of deals with a few countries, including the UK, Vietnam, and China. A White House economic advisor saying this.
It's important that countries line up to make concessions to get those deals to convince the president that they should get lower tariff rates.
Meanwhile, as President Trump and Republicans continue to celebrate the passage of the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, Elon Musk, once a close Trump ally, announcing the formation of a new political party after lashing out at the massive bill for adding too much to the national debt. The president responding.
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party, so he can have fun with it.
Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News.
For more here, let's bring in NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen. John, good morning. Thanks for being with us. So let's start with this looming Wednesday deadline this week for countries to renegotiate tariff levels. This was originally announced back in April. We just heard a little bit of that there in Yamisha's piece. President Trump paused the rates a week later to set the stage for negotiations back at that April time. How firm is this upcoming deadline?
It sounds like it's not very firm at all. What you've got is the Treasury Secretary saying that letters are going to go out this week to all of these affected countries and basically giving them till August 1st to make changes, to make deals. So the can is being kicked further down the road. The president has divided his own party badly with this tariff policy. He has upset people in the business community. He's upset people in Wall Street in terms of the finance sector. And so, you know, the arrival of tariffs, of course, is bad for exporters in other countries, but also I think what we're seeing is there's some fear within the White House that it will be bad for President Trump and for the United States.
Yeah, let's talk more here. I mean, John, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is calling this sort of a boomerang. Countries will see a boomerang back to the high tariff levels that the president announced in April if the deals aren't made. The White House's theory was that, you know, every country would come forward desperate to reach a deal by the deadline. Is that what's happening at all? I mean, what are the challenges facing the administration right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of these countries would love to continue to do business with the United States at rates that are favorable to them, but they do not want to do business at rates that are unfavorable to them if they have alternatives. And so I think what you're seeing is the opening of, you know, sort of new pipelines for countries that have been doing business with the United States, and them certainly looking for other trading partners to replace or you know, at least mitigate the damage from not having the United States import as much stuff. So look, if President Trump's desire is to have everything made in the United States and to bring in nothing from other countries, then high tariffs on other countries is a good policy. But if it's to create revenue by putting tariffs on other countries that are exporting to the United States, you know, I think that you're going to see that revenue diminished greatly by other countries simply choosing different trading partners.
John, let's talk about Elon's America Party. He posted a poll on X, even asking his followers if they would support it. But what do we know at this point about the party and any impact it could have, maybe like on midterms next year?
Yeah, we don't know much about the party because it hasn't been formed yet. And of course, there are a lot of complications, and I don't want to go deep into the weeds, but basically to establish a third party in all of the states that you'd want to compete in, this is a huge challenge. Of course, Elon Musk has effectively limitless money to pour into such a project, so maybe he would have some success in at least getting a party on the ballot. But as far as the midterms go, I think Democrats are welcoming the idea of a third party run by Elon Musk because so many Democrats now find him, you know, intolerable. So I think they see a third party as splitting Republicans, splitting traditional Republicans, rather than, you know, rather than coming up the middle between the two parties.
All right. Jonathan Allen, great to see you. Thank you so much.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.